There was a time when coming to America meant stepping into a life of noise, crowding, and quiet struggle. Tonight, we gently travel back to Chicago in the year 1910, into a small, dim apartment where a family begins another long day, not with excitement, but with quiet endurance and a fragile sense of hope. A quiet morning in a crowded room. The night is slowly fading. Somewhere between darkness and morning, the city of Chicago begins to stir. Inside a narrow brick building, tucked along a crowded street, a small room sits in near silence. The window is barely large enough to let in the coming daylight. A thin layer of dust softens the outside glow, turning the early morning into a muted gray. The air inside the room feels heavy. It carries the faint smell of last night's meal, boiled potatoes, a bit of bread, and something slightly burnt at the edges. 5 people share this space.
Maria lies on the floor, resting on a thin blanket. Her children sleep beside her, their small bodies curled close together for warmth. In the corner of the room, a simple wooden bed holds her husband, Luca. For a moment, nothing moves. Then, quietly, Maria opens her eyes. She does not get up right away. Instead, she remains still, listening. This is the quietest part of her day. No voices, no footsteps, no demands, just a soft, fragile silence. Outside, a distant sound begins to rise. The slow rolling of wooden wheels over uneven streets, the faint clatter of hooves against stone. The city is waking. Maria gently lifts herself up, careful not to disturb the others. Every movement is slow and deliberate. In a room this small, even the slightest noise can ripple through everyone. A long factory whistle echoes through the distance, low, steady, and unmistakable. It stretches across the rooftop,
Slipping through narrow alleys and between tall buildings. It means the workday is beginning. Luca stirs. He shifts slightly, then slowly sits up on the edge of the bed. His shoulders are tense, his movements heavy with yesterday's labor. He rubs his eyes, blinking away the last pieces of sleep. Maria hands him a small cup of water. They do not speak. There is no need. Mornings here are not filled with conversation. They are filled with preparation. Maria moves toward the small iron stove in the corner. She kneels down and carefully begins to light it. The wood is limited. Every piece matters. The flame catches slowly, then begins to grow, just enough to warm a small pot. She pours in water, adds a bit of flour, stirs gently. It becomes a thin porridge, simple, plain, and just enough to start the day. Behind her, one of the children begins to wake. A small shift, a quiet breath, then another. Soon, all 3 are slowly opening their eyes, adjusting to the dim light. The youngest moves closer to Maria, resting against her side, without saying a word. There is comfort in closeness, even in silence. Luca stands and walks toward the window. He looks outside. The street below is beginning to fill. Men in worn coats move quickly, each carrying something: tools, lunch tins, bundles. A cart passes by, pulled by a tired horse. Its wheels creak under the weight of produce stacked unevenly. Potatoes, onions, carrots. Life in motion. Breakfast is ready. Maria serves it carefully, dividing it into small portions. No one takes more than their share. No one asks for more.
There is an understanding here, quiet but absolute. Luca eats quickly. He does not rush, but he does not linger either. Time matters. Work matters more. If he arrives late, someone else will take his place. And in this part of the city, work is never guaranteed. When he finishes, he stands near the door. For a moment, he pauses. He looks at his family. There is no dramatic goodbye, no long embrace, just a brief moment of stillness. A look that holds responsibility, fatigue, and something softer beneath it all. Then he opens the door and steps out. The door closes with a soft, final sound. For a few seconds, it lingers in the room, then fades. Maria begins to clean. The bowls, the spoon, the small pot. Her day is only beginning. Outside, the sunlight grows stronger, but it does not fully reach this street. The buildings stand too close together, blocking most of the sky. Even during the day, the light feels distant. The children sit on the floor. They speak quietly among themselves. There are no toys, only simple objects. A wooden piece, a worn cloth, a chipped cup. But they find ways to play. They always do. Maria opens the window slightly. Cool air slips inside. Along with it comes the scent of the city. Smoke, horse sweat, food, crowded life. She looks across to the building opposite. Another woman hangs laundry from a line. In a nearby window, someone brushes their hair. Every room holds a story. Different faces, similar lives. Maria turns back to her children. She adjusts their clothes, smoothing out wrinkles, fixing small details. Today, they will go outside. She will look for work, laundry, cleaning, anything. In this city, survival is built one small task at a time. She reaches for the door, opens it slowly. The hallway beyond is dim and narrow. Wooden stairs creak under careful steps. They begin to descend. Outside, the city greets them fully. Sound rushes in. Voices calling out. Carts rolling. Footsteps overlapping. It is loud, busy, unavoidable. A boy sits on the corner, shining shoes. A man drops a coin into his hand. Nearby, a woman carries a basket with only a few items inside. Everyone moves with purpose. No one stands still for long. Maria steps into the flow of the street, her children beside her. They blend into the crowd, one family among many. The day stretches ahead, long, uncertain, demanding. But this story does not rush. It moves slowly, just like the lives within it. And as the sun rises higher over Chicago, another ordinary day begins. The long walk to work. The morning has fully settled into the streets of Chicago. The air feels cooler now, though the movement of the city brings a steady warmth to everything. Maria walks carefully along the uneven sidewalk. Her steps are slow, measured. Not because she is in a hurry, but because she is saving her energy. Anna walks close beside her, matching her pace.
Mateo drifts slightly ahead, stopping now and then to look at something new. A cart, a broken wheel, a man calling out to passersby. Elena stays closest of all. Her small hand grips the edge of Maria's dress, holding on without needing to say anything. The street is alive. Not loud in a chaotic way, but full. Everywhere, people are moving. Some carry tools over their shoulders. Others hold small lunch tins, wrapped carefully in cloth.
There are women walking quickly, heads slightly lowered, focused on reaching somewhere before time runs out. The sound of hooves echoes steadily. A horse pulls a heavy wagon past them, its breath visible in the cool air. The driver clicks his tongue softly, guiding it forward. Maria keeps walking. She does not stop at the busy corners. She does not look too long at the stalls. She has a purpose today. She is searching. They turn onto a slightly narrower street. Here, the buildings feel closer. The sunlight struggles to reach the ground, slipping between narrow gaps above. Laundry hangs overhead, swaying gently. Shirts, dresses, cloth worn thin from many washings. They move softly in the breeze, like quiet signals of life above the street. A woman stands near a doorway, speaking to another in a low voice. Their words are soft, almost blending into the background. Maria glances briefly, then continues walking. There is always the possibility of work, but also the possibility of being turned away. She approaches the first building. It is slightly larger than the others. The door is worn, but solid. She pauses, just for a moment. Then she steps forward and knocks. There is a short silence, then footsteps. The door opens slightly. A woman stands there, older, her expression cautious. Maria speaks quietly. Her voice is calm, respectful, careful. She asks if there is any work available. Cleaning, laundry, anything at all. The woman listens. Her face does.
She simply thanks her and steps back. The door closes. For a second, Maria stands still. The street continues around her, unchanged, unbothered. Then she turns and continues walking. Anna looks up at her. There is a quiet question in her eyes. Maria offers a small, gentle smile. Not a false one, just a steady one. They move on. Further down the street, the sounds begin to shift. The rhythm changes. There is a sharper tone now, metal against metal. Voices calling out from inside buildings. The factories. Large doors stand open. Inside, rows of workers move in steady patterns. Some stand at machines. Others carry materials across the floor. The air inside looks thick, dust and heat blending together. Mateo slows down. He watches closely. His eyes follow the movement of the workers. The repetition, the motion. Maria notices. She gently places a hand on his shoulder. A quiet signal. They keep moving. She knows this place. She understands what it demands. Long hours, little rest, and constant effort. But it is still work, and work means survival. They pass by slowly. The noise fades behind them as they turn another corner. Here, the street opens slightly. There is more light, more space. A small row of homes lines one side. Not large, but
quieter. Maria approaches another door. This one looks cleaner, more maintained. She pauses again, then knocks. The wait feels longer this time. Anna shifts her weight slightly. Elena leans closer. Mateo looks down the street, distracted by movement in the distance. The door opens. A younger woman stands there.
Her expression is softer, curious. Maria speaks again. The same words, the same careful tone. This time, the woman listens a little longer. She glances at the children, then back at Maria. There is a pause, a longer one. Then, a small nod. Maria's shoulders relax just slightly. Not fully, but enough to notice. The woman gestures inside. She speaks quietly. There is laundry that needs washing. It is not much, but it is something. Maria nods, grateful, but still composed. She turns to Anna, gives her a small instruction. Anna understands immediately. She takes Mateo and Elena to sit near the doorway. Close, safe. Maria steps inside. The door closes behind her. Outside, the children wait. The street continues its slow rhythm. A cart rolls past.
A man walks by, humming softly. Somewhere, a distant whistle echoes again. Time moves differently here. Not fast, not slow, just steady. Anna sits quietly. Mateo traces lines in the dust with his finger. Elena leans against her sister, her eyes growing heavy. Inside, Maria works. Her hands move through water, cloth, soap, rinse, repeat. Each movement is practiced, careful, efficient. The water grows cloudy, then is replaced, again and again. It is quiet work, but not easy work. Still, it is something. Outside, the light begins to shift. The brightness softens. Shadows stretch a little longer. Anna looks toward the door, waiting. And eventually, it opens. Maria steps out. Her hands are slightly red from the water. Her posture a little more tired. But her expression? Calm. In her hand, she holds a few coins. Small, but meaningful. She kneels down slightly, shows them to the children. Mateo smiles. Anna nods softly. Elena simply leans closer. They stand together for a moment, not celebrating, not speaking loudly, just sharing the quiet result of effort. Then Maria stands, and they begin to walk again. The day is not over. There is still more ahead. But for now, they have something. And in this part of the city, that is enough.
The afternoon settles gently over the city. The light is softer now, not as sharp as the morning, not yet fading into evening. Just a quiet middle space. Maria and the children walk slowly along the street. The coins from earlier rest safely in her hand, wrapped in a small piece of cloth. They do not make much sound, just a faint, soft weight. The streets feel a little less crowded than before. Not empty, but calmer. Many workers are already inside the factories. The movement has shifted inward. From a distance, a low hum fills the air. It is steady, constant, almost like a quiet breath that never stops. The factories. Maria pauses for a moment, not fully stopping, just slowing enough to notice. The sound grows clearer as they walk closer.
Metal touching metal. Soft clanking rhythms. A distant turning of gears. Mateo hears it too. He tilts his head slightly, listening. The buildings ahead are larger now, stronger, darker. Tall brick walls rise on both sides, their surfaces worn from years of smoke and weather. A wide entrance stands open. Workers move in and out. Some walk with purpose. Others move more slowly, their shoulders heavy. Maria does not enter. She stands just far enough away, watching. Anna remains close beside her, quiet, still. Elena leans gently against Maria's side. Her small eyes follow the movement, though she does not fully understand it. Mateo takes a small step forward, curious. Maria gently places her hand on his shoulder. A soft reminder. He stops.
Inside the factory, rows of workers move in repeating patterns. Hands lifting, placing, turning, again and again. The air inside looks thick. Dust floats in the light. The space feels warm, almost heavy. The sound never stops, not for a second. Maria watches for a few moments longer. Her expression does not change much, but there is something behind her eyes. Recognition. She knows this rhythm. She has seen it before, in other places, in other days. Work that does not pause. Work that does not ask. Work that simply continues. A man walks past them, wiping his hands on a cloth. His face is tired, his steps slow, but he keeps moving. Another group enters the building. Their voices are quiet, almost swallowed by the sound of the machines. The factory does not notice them.
It does not slow. It does not change. Maria turns away. They continue walking. The noise fades slowly behind them. Not all at once, just little by little. The street opens again. The buildings step back slightly. More light reaches the ground. A small breeze moves through the space. It carries a different scent now. Less smoke, more air. They pass a small stand where a man sells bread. The loaves are simple, stacked carefully. Maria pauses, just briefly. She looks at the bread, then at the cloth in her hand. She steps closer. The man nods, not speaking much. Maria offers a few coins, carefully counted. The exchange is quiet, simple. She receives a small loaf, still warm. Mateo watches closely. His eyes follow every movement. Anna stands patiently.
Elena looks at the bread, then back at Maria. Maria breaks a small piece. She gives it to each of them. No one rushes. No one grabs. They eat slowly, The bread is plain, but warm. And for a moment, everything feels a little softer. They sit on a low step nearby. Not for long, just enough to rest. The city continues around them. A cart rolls past. A voice calls out in the distance. Footsteps move steadily along the street. But here, on this small step, there is a pause. Maria watches the street, not searching now, just observing. Anna leans slightly against her. Mateo traces a small line on the ground with his foot. Elena finishes her piece of bread and rests quietly. Time moves, gently. The light begins to shift again. Shadows grow longer. The edges of buildings soften.
Maria stands. The rest is over. They begin walking once more. The streets feel familiar now, not because they are easy, but because they are known. They pass by the factory district again. This time, they do not stop. The sound is still there, still steady, still endless. But they keep moving. Further ahead, the buildings grow closer again. The narrow streets return. Laundry hangs above. Voices echo between the walls. This is where they belong. For now, they move through the crowd, blending in. One family among many. The sky above begins to soften in color. Faint hints of evening appear. The day is slowly closing, but not yet finished. There is still time left. And in that time, there is always something more to do. Maria adjusts the cloth in her hand.
Now, lighter than before, she walks steadily. Beside her, the children follow. The city does not stop. It never does. But within its constant motion, there are these small, quiet moments. Moments of walking. Moments of resting. Moments of simply being. And as the light continues to fade, another part of the day begins. Evening streets and quiet returns. The city does not change suddenly. It never does. It shifts slowly, like breathing. By late afternoon, the streets of Chicago feel different again. The morning energy has faded. The factory rush is no longer the loudest sound. Now, it is something softer, more scattered, more tired. People are returning home. Not all at once. In waves. Maria walks with her children through familiar streets. The same streets they walked before. But now, they feel heavier. Like the day has settled into them. The sunlight is lower, warmer in color, but less sharp. It touches walls gently instead of brightly. Anna walks quietly beside Maria. Her steps are steady. Her eyes observe everything, but she says very little. Mateo walks slightly ahead again. Not fast, just curious. He watches carts rolling past and people carrying bundles. Elena holds Maria's hand tightly. Her small fingers never let go for long. Maria doesn't speak much. She rarely does when the day begins to close. Her thoughts are somewhere quieter. Not far away, just inward. They pass a group of men sitting near a wall. Their faces are tired, covered in dust from work. They are not talking loudly, only short phrases, simple words. A horse-drawn cart moves slowly across the street, wood wheels creaking softly.
a driver guiding it without hurry. The sound is steady, familiar, almost comforting in its repetition.
The city is not silent. It never is. But it becomes less demanding, less sharp. They pass small shops now, windows glowing faintly from inside, warm light spilling onto sidewalks. Anna looks inside one shop briefly. Bread stacked neatly. A woman arranging goods carefully. Life continuing in small, organized movements. Maria keeps walking. She does not stop. Not because she is in a hurry, but because stopping is no longer part of the rhythm. The family turns into a narrower street. This one is quieter, less movement, more shadows between buildings. Laundry still hangs above them, swaying gently in evening air. Mateo looks up at it. The cloth moves slowly, like flags in wind. Elena copies him for a moment,
Then looks back at Maria again. Maria adjusts her apron slightly. A small habit, not thought through, just done. The street begins to feel more enclosed. Buildings closer together again. Windows smaller. Sounds more echo-like. Some children are playing near a doorway. Their voices, soft. Not loud enough to disturb the evening. Anna watches them briefly, then continues walking. Maria slows down slightly. Not because she is tired now, but because the direction is familiar. Home is not far. They pass the bread stand again, now emptying. Less bread left. The vendor counting what remains. Maria glances once, but does not stop. A few steps later, she pauses briefly.
not for buying, just for breathing. The air feels cooler now, evening settling deeper. Mateo stands still for a second, listening to distant sounds. Elena leans against Maria's side, half asleep already. They continue. The buildings here are older. Wooden frames, brick surfaces worn by years. A soft light glows from their own building ahead. Not bright, but present, waiting. Maria sees it before the others. She always does. Her pace remains steady, but something in her expression softens, just slightly. Anna notices first. She steps a little closer to Maria. Mateo slows down too. Even he recognizes it now. Home. They reach the doorway. The same steps. The same worn wood.
The same narrow entrance. Maria pauses for a moment before entering. Not hesitation, just acknowledgement. Another day completed. Inside, the air is warmer. Familiar smell of wood, fabric, and simple living. Luca is already inside, sitting quietly. His posture heavy, but still. He looks up as they enter. No words immediately, just a glance. Maria nods slightly. That is enough. Anna steps inside carefully. Mateo follows. Elena holds tighter to Maria for a moment before letting go. The room feels smaller now that everyone is inside, but not crowded, just full. Maria begins small movements, simple evening tasks, nothing dramatic, just continuation. The children settle down slowly,
each finding their place. Luca watches quietly, then looks away again. Outside, the city continues, unchanged, unbothered. But inside this small room, the day is ending differently. Not loudly, not quickly,
just slowly, naturally. Maria sits for a moment. Finally, her shoulders lower slightly, just enough to show the weight of the day. Anna leans beside her. Matteo sits on the floor. Elena curls close. Luca remains quiet in the background, present, still. The light inside begins to fade again. Not from outside, but from within. A single day becomes memory. And as the city outside keeps moving, this small room stays still.
The sound of work before sunrise. Night does not fully disappear in Chicago. It only changes shape. Even before the sun appears, the city is already awake in pieces. Not everywhere, not loudly, but in small, scattered moments. Inside the tenement room, sleep still holds on. Softly, like something unwilling to let go too quickly. Maria is the first to feel the change. Not because of sound, but because of habit. Her body remembers time, even when rest tries to take over. Outside, somewhere far away, a bell rings. Not close, but clear enough to travel through quiet streets. It is not a loud sound, just enough to signal beginning. Maria opens her eyes slowly. The room is still dark. Only a faint gray line of light sits near the window. She does not move immediately.
She listens first. Anna is still sleeping beside her, her face calm, breathing slow. Matteo is curled on the floor, one arm under his head, completely still. Elena is pressed gently against Maria's side, small, warm, steady. Luca is sitting slightly away, still asleep in a leaning position. His exhaustion looks deeper in sleep. Maria slowly shifts her arm, careful not to disturb Elena. She sits up quietly. No sudden movement, just controlled awareness. The air inside the room is colder than the night before. Morning always brings that change. Maria looks toward the window. The sky is not dark anymore, but not bright either. A color in between, gray-blue, soft, waiting. She stands slowly. Her joints move carefully, as if the body is negotiating with the day. She steps lightly across the wooden floor, each sound small but noticeable in silence. Still, no one wakes. That is how mornings like this are. Shared sleep is fragile but deep. Maria moves toward a small corner of the room, where a basin of water sits. The water is cold, almost sharp against her skin. She washes her face quietly, not to refresh, but to begin. Outside, faint movement starts to appear. Footsteps on distant streets, doors opening somewhere far below. The city is waking in layers, like pages turning one by one. Maria ties her apron again. Same motion every morning. No thought needed, just memory. She glances back at her children. A quiet check.
a silent reassurance. Anna stirs slightly, but does not wake. Maria pauses for a second, watching her.
Then continues. She moves toward the small stove area. There is little to prepare. Simple routine, simple life. A small pot, a few remaining pieces of bread, water boiled slowly. The sound of fire is gentle, not roaring, just present. Outside the window, light grows stronger. Street details begin to appear. Walls, wires, faint silhouettes. Maria stands still for a moment, listening to the city become real again. It is not peaceful, but it is familiar. Behind her, Luca finally shifts. A slow movement, heavy sleep breaking. He opens his eyes without speaking, just looks around. Maria notices, but does not turn immediately. She knows this pattern too well. Luca sits up slowly, his body moving like it remembers weight before thought. No words yet, only awareness.
Maria finally speaks softly. Not loud enough to break morning calm, just enough to exist. Luca nods slightly, understanding without conversation. Outside, another sound joins the morning. A cart rolling slowly on uneven street. Wood wheels. Measured rhythm. Matteo turns in sleep, still not awake. Elena tightens her hold on Maria's old shawl. A small, unconscious response. Maria pours water carefully into a tin cup. Steam rises gently. The room begins to fill with soft morning activity. Not chaos, just continuation. Anna slowly opens her eyes. Not fully awake yet, just aware. She watches Maria for a moment, silent, comforted by repetition. Maria meets her gaze briefly. No words needed. Anna sits up slowly, rubbing her eyes. The morning has officially begun inside the room. Outside, sunlight touches the tops of buildings, not reaching streets yet, but preparing to. Maria opens the small window slightly. Cold air enters. Clean, sharp, alive. Sound from outside becomes clearer. Voices, steps, city rhythm returning fully. Matteo finally wakes, slowly, confused for a second, then familiar again. Elena wakes last, quietly, without resistance. Maria helps her sit up. Gentle hands, routine care. Luca stands slowly in the background, already thinking ahead. Work, movement, survival. No one says it, but everyone knows it. Morning is not rest. Morning is continuation. Maria prepares small portions of food. Simple, divided carefully. The children eat without complaint.
They are used to simplicity. Outside, sunlight finally reaches the street fully. Chicago becomes visible, complete. But inside this room, everything still feels slow, measured, controlled. Maria looks out the window again. People walking, working, living. She does not rush. She only observes. A quiet understanding exists in her expression, that life is not changing soon. And somehow, that thought is no longer painful, just real. The morning continues, and so does everything else. The long hours of the factory day. Morning does not feel like a beginning in Chicago's Immigrant district. It feels like a continuation. Like the night never fully ended, just changed its shape. Maria steps into the street with the same rhythm she carried yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that.
There is no moment of starting fresh, only movement, continuing forward. The air outside is colder than expected. Even though the sun is rising, it does not feel warm yet. Anna walks close beside Maria. Her steps are small but steady. She does not speak much in the morning, not because she is tired, but because she is learning silence. Matteo moves slightly ahead again, always curious, always watching, always noticing things adults pass without looking at.
Elena holds Maria's hand tightly, as if the street itself might separate them if she lets go. Luca follows behind. Not close, not far, just present, like a shadow that has learned the shape of responsibility. The street grows busier with each block. Men walking in groups, women carrying bundles, children weaving between them. Everyone moving toward something, or away from something. Maria does not rush. She never does. Rushing does not change where she is going, only how tired she becomes. They pass a bakery, warm smell leaking into cold air, bread being pulled from ovens. A brief softness in the morning. Matteo slows down for a moment. He looks inside, not asking, just observing. Maria gently guides him forward, not harshly, just enough to continue.
The factory district appears again in the distance. Not suddenly, but like it has always been there, waiting. Smoke rises slowly from tall chimneys. Not violent, just constant, like breathing. Workers gather near gates, talking in low voices, hands in pockets, eyes half awake. Maria watches them for a moment. Not with fear, not with hope, just understanding. This is where the day divides people into those who work inside and those who wait outside. She adjusts her apron slightly. A small habit, a signal to herself more than anyone else. Anna looks at her mother's face, trying to read something there. But Maria's expression is calm, almost unreadable. Elena shifts closer, as if sensing change without understanding it. Luca finally speaks softly.
Only a few words. Nothing important. Just confirmation of direction. The group begins to separate slightly at the edge of the street. Not emotionally, just physically. Maria stops for a second, looking at the factory gates. Large, metal, heavy. She does not say anything. There is nothing new to say. Anna looks up at her, waiting. Not for explanation, just acknowledgement. Maria gently touches Anna's shoulder, a quiet reassurance. No words needed. Matteo stands still now. Even he understands the shift in atmosphere. Elena clings tighter, her small world narrowing for a moment. Luca steps slightly forward, ready to move into the line of workers. Maria breathes in slowly, then releases. Not a sigh, just acceptance. The factory bell rings in the distance.
Soft but final. A signal. Not emotional, just structural. Workers begin moving toward entrances, like water flowing into channels. Maria watches them go. Not envy, not relief, just observation. Then she turns slightly toward her children. Her focus shifts instantly because her work is not inside the factory. Her work is everything outside it. She begins walking again. Not fast, not slow, just forward. The street around them continues its cycle. Carts passing, voices fading, footsteps repeating. Time does not feel like something that moves. It feels like something that repeats. Anna walks beside Maria again, closer now. Matteo returns to his usual position ahead, scanning the street. Elena relaxes slightly in Maria's grip.
Luca disappears into the flow of workers behind them. Not lost, just separated. Maria does not look back, not because she does not care, but because she already knows what she would see. The city continues breathing around them, slow, heavy, constant. And somewhere in that rhythm, their day continues too. The factory hours that never feel like time. Time in Chicago's Immigrant District does not move like a river. It moves like a machine. Steady, unforgiving, predictable. Maria has learned this truth without ever being taught. It came to her slowly, through mornings, through waiting, through watching others leave while she stayed. The city feels louder now than it did an hour ago. Not because it changed, but because people have fully arrived inside it. Footsteps, cartwheels, metal clinks, distant shouting, all forming a rhythm that never stops completely. Maria walks through it without resisting. She does not try to separate herself from the noise. She moves with it, like she belongs to it. Anna stays close. Her eyes follow everything. She notices faces more than places. Matteo walks slightly ahead again, always curious, always drifting between attention and distraction. Elena holds Maria's hand tighter whenever the crowd thickens, as if she understands pressure without knowing its name. Luca is somewhere behind them now. Not gone, just absorbed into movement, like many others. Maria does not look back often. She already knows what the world behind her looks like. It does not change much. They pass another factory gate, and another, and another. Each one similar. Iron, smoke, waiting workers. But each one carries a different weight, different lives inside, different hours, different exhaustion. Maria stops near a quieter corner of the street. Not to rest, just to adjust. Life in motion requires small pauses. She looks at Anna for a moment. Anna looks back. No question is asked. None is needed. That is how survival becomes silent communication. Matteo watches a group of workers laughing briefly near a gate. It is short, almost invisible, but it exists. He seems surprised by it, as if he did not expect joy to appear here. Elena shifts her weight, tired already, even though the day has barely begun. Maria notices everything, not because she tries, but because mothers learn to see without choosing. The factory bell rings again in the distance. Not urgent, just marking passage. People begin moving more quickly. The rhythm tightens,
like the city has decided the next phase has begun.
Maria continues walking. Not toward anything dramatic, just toward necessity. A narrow alley opens between two buildings. Dim, quieter, cooler. They pass through it slowly. For a moment, the city sound softens. Anna breathes a little easier there. Mateo slows down. Even Elena relaxes slightly. Maria understands this reaction. Even silence feels like comfort when noise is constant. At the end of the alley, sunlight returns. Stronger now, more direct. The street ahead is wider, more industrial, more structured. Workers are no longer scattered. They are organized. Lines forming. Movement becoming system. Maria pauses again, just briefly, observing the pattern. She does not envy it. She does not fear it. She simply understands it.
Luca reappears in the distance for a moment, moving with other men, heading toward factory entry. He does not turn. Not because he is cold, but because direction is already decided. Maria watches him disappear into the flow, then turns away. Her responsibility remains here. Not inside gates, outside them. She adjusts Elena's grip on her hand, a gentle reminder of presence. Anna walks closer now, as if the world outside the factory has become slightly heavier. Mateo is still curious, but even curiosity has limits in long mornings. They continue forward. Not fast, not slow, just consistent. The city around them does not pause, but it also does not rush. It simply continues. And in that continuation, life becomes routine.
Maria understands something she never says out loud. Survival is not one moment. It is repetition, step after step, hour after hour, day after day. They pass another street corner, another group of vendors, another cloud of steam. Everything feels similar, but never identical. Anna glances at Maria again, trying to read the direction of the day. Maria only looks forward, not because she knows everything, but because she knows enough. The factory district hum remains behind them now, slightly softer, still present, always present. And ahead, the city continues unfolding, like it always has, like it always will.
The afternoon that never speaks loudly. By the time afternoon arrives in Chicago's Immigrant district, nothing feels like a clear transition. There is no announcement, no shift, only a gradual thinning of morning energy. The streets look the same, but they behave differently. Footsteps are slower now, not because people are resting, but because their bodies have already accepted the weight of the day. Maria feels it too. Not in pain, not in relief, just in continuity. She has been walking for hours, but time does not feel like hours here. It feels like one long movement. Anna walks beside her, quieter than before. Her curiosity has not disappeared. It has simply become softer. Mateo still looks around, but even his movements are less sharp now,
like the city is teaching him its rhythm, slowly, without words. Elena is no longer gripping tightly. Her hand still holds Maria's dress, but the urgency has faded. She has adjusted to the world around her. Luca is somewhere behind them again, not lost, just absorbed into the worker current of the district. That is how this city separates people, not by distance, but by direction. Maria notices a small change in light. Afternoon sunlight is different from morning sunlight. It is less hopeful, more honest. The streets feel warmer now, but not comforting, just present. They pass another row of small shops, windows slightly dusty, signs worn by time. Nothing new appears here quickly. Everything arrives slowly and leaves the same way.
Maria pauses briefly near a quiet wall. Not because she is tired, but because she is observing. She watches a group of workers sitting on wooden crates, not talking much, just eating, just existing. Anna watches them too, not with judgment, just curiosity. Matteo seems interested in their tools, hands, clothing, small details, things that build understanding without instruction. Elena looks at the ground more than the world now. Afternoon has a way of turning attention inward, even for children. Maria adjusts her apron again. A small habit, a grounding gesture. She is not thinking about escape. She is not thinking about change. She is thinking about continuation. That is what this life demands. Not answers, just endurance.
A distant whistle sounds from somewhere near the factories. Not loud, not sharp, just present enough to be noticed. People in the street react slightly. Some stand, some shift direction. Some continue without reacting at all. Maria does not move immediately. She listens first. Understanding comes before action. Anna looks up at her mother, waiting for direction. Maria gently nods, a simple signal. They continue. The street grows slightly more crowded again. Afternoon shift movement begins. A second wave of workers, a second rhythm of the day. Maria realizes something quietly. The city does not have one day. It has layers of days inside one day. Morning workers, afternoon workers, evening workers, and those who exist between all of them.
She walks through all layers without belonging to any. That is her position in this world. Matteo slows near a vendor cart. He looks at bread again. Still the same interest. Still the same quiet longing. Maria does not stop this time. Not out of neglect, but because she understands limits. Elena keeps pace without complaint. Her small steps now match the city's rhythm. Luca appears briefly in a gap between people. A shadow among movement. Then disappears again. Maria does not search for him. She has learned that people in this city are not always meant to be held in sight. Only in memory. The afternoon light becomes slightly heavier, less golden, more neutral. Buildings look taller now, not physically.
Maria passes a small group of children playing near a wall. Their laughter is brief, almost fragile. like it could be carried away by wind at any moment. Anna watches them for a second longer than the others, then moves on. Matteo follows without question. Elena looks once, then returns her gaze to Maria. That is how childhood adapts here, by choosing what to keep looking at and what to let go. Maria feels the street slowing again, not stopping, just easing. Afternoon is not an ending. It is a long pause pretending to be movement. She continues walking forward, not because she is told, but because she has no reason not to. And in this part of the city, that is enough.
Evening light over a city that never sleeps fully. Evening in Chicago does not arrive all at once. It leaks in, slowly, like ink spreading through paper. The afternoon noise begins to soften, but it never disappears. It only changes shape. Maria notices it first in the light, not in sound, not in people, but in how the sun touches things. Everything feels slightly longer. Shadows stretch further. Movements feel heavier. The city is still alive, but it is no longer rushing. Maria keeps walking. Not because she has somewhere new to reach, but because stopping is not part of her rhythm. Anna walks beside her in silence now. Her earlier curiosity still exists, but it has settled, like dust after movement. Matteo is quieter than before.
Not tired, just aligned with the day's slow ending. Elena still holds Maria's hand, but her grip is softer now, like she trusts the ground beneath her more than she did in the morning. Luca appears briefly again in the distance, a moving figure between others. Not approaching, not leaving, just existing within the flow. Maria does not try to follow him with her eyes. She has learned that people here are not always meant to be held in view, only understood in fragments. The streets begin to feel different, not emptier, just less urgent. Vendors are closing some stalls, others are still open. Life does not shut down at once. It fades in layers. Maria passes a bakery shop. Warm light inside, soft steam near the doorway. A small contrast to the cooling street.
Anna looks at it for a moment, longer than usual. Matteo notices too, but he says nothing. Elena leans slightly closer to Maria, as if warmth can be borrowed just by proximity. Maria understands that feeling, more than she can explain. They continue walking, through streets that are slowly becoming evening streets. The air feels slightly cooler now. Not cold, just honest. Maria stops near a quieter corner again, this time not because of fatigue, but because of observation. She watches people returning home, some alone, some in groups, some with children like hers. Different lives, same direction. Anna follows Maria's gaze. She does not ask what she has seen. She simply sees it too. Matteo kicks a small stone lightly.
It rolls and stops. A small action in a large world. Elena yawns quietly, but stays awake, as if afraid to miss something unspoken. Maria adjusts her apron again. Same gesture, different hour. Time here does not feel like passing. It feels like layering. Each hour sits on top of the previous one. Nothing disappears. It only accumulates. A distant bell rings again. Not factory this time. Something softer. Something more domestic. People respond less sharply now. Movement becomes optional rather than required. Maria begins walking again. Slowly,
steadily. The street ahead is slightly brighter. Gas lamps starting to appear, one by one.
Mateo watches shadows change shape. Elena tightens her grip again. Not fear, just instinct. Maria sees all of it, but does not interrupt it. This is the hour where nothing needs correction, only continuation. Luca passes again at a distance, closer this time, but still not close enough to speak. He does not look toward them, and Maria does not expect him to. Their connection exists somewhere else, not in sight, but in shared direction of life. The city becomes quieter now, but not silent. It never becomes silent. Maria understands something she rarely puts into thought. Evening is not an ending here. It is a soft rearrangement of exhaustion. They walk toward it, together, without needing to define together.
The city that learns to breathe at night. Night does not arrive in Chicago. It settles, like dust returning to a surface that never asked for silence. By the time episode 10 begins, the city is already halfway asleep. Not fully, because cities like this never fully sleep. They only change the way they breathe. Maria is still awake when the street outside becomes quieter than it has been all day. Not silent, just softened. Inside the small apartment, the lamp flame flickers gently. It is not bright enough to fight the darkness outside. It only exists to make the inside feel closer. Anna has already fallen asleep. Not in a perfect position, but in the kind of sleep that only comes after long understanding of tiredness. Mateo sleeps too. His breathing steady, his hands still slightly curled, as if holding on to the day. Elena is the quietest, small body completely still, as if she has surrendered herself entirely to rest. Maria looks at them for a long time, not counting, not worrying, just observing. There is a kind of silence in motherhood that is not empty. It is full, so full that it becomes heavy in a gentle way. Outside, gas lamps continue to glow. Their light does not change. Only the people around them do. Maria stands up slowly, carefully, as if movement itself might disturb something fragile. She walks toward the small window, not to look for anything, just to be near something larger than the room. Outside, the street is nearly empty, but not lifeless. A few distant figures move. A horse cart passes far away, sound softened by distance. The city feels different at night. Not smaller, just more honest. Maria places her hand lightly on the window frame. The wood is cold, real, present. She remembers the day. Not in detail, but in rhythm. Walking, pausing, watching, continuing. That is what life here becomes. Not moments, but movement. Behind her, the children sleep deeper, their world temporarily disconnected from struggle. Maria does not envy that sleep. She respects it, because she knows she will not fully enter it yet.
not until the mind agrees with the body. And tonight, it does not fully agree. She sits again, slowly, carefully. The chair makes a soft sound.
Almost apologetic. Time feels strange at this hour. Not fast, not slow, just suspended. Maria thinks about the people she saw today, not as individuals, but as patterns. Workers, vendors, mothers, children, shadows of motion. Everyone moving, everyone continuing. She wonders, not in words, but in feeling, how many of them are sitting like her right now, watching their own small rooms, holding their own quiet nights. The city does not answer. It never does. Instead, it breathes, slowly, through chimneys, through streets, through sleeping windows. Maria leans back slightly, her body finally beginning to accept stillness. There is no dramatic realization, no sudden peace, only a soft reduction of resistance. Outside, a faint wind moves through the street.
It does not change anything. It only passes through. Maria closes her eyes for a moment. Just a moment. And in that moment, she is not thinking about survival, not thinking about tomorrow, not thinking about work. She is simply existing, without demand, without instruction. When she opens her eyes again, nothing has changed. But something inside has softened. She stands once more, goes to the children, adjusts a blanket, fixes a small fold in fabric. Small acts, meaningless to the city, everything to the room. This is what her life has become. Not grand decisions, but quiet maintenance of love inside exhaustion. Outside, the last gas lamps flicker slightly in the wind. Not going out, just reacting. Maria returns to the window one last time. The city is fully night now. Not dark, just deeply layered. And she understands something without needing to name it. This place will continue without her noticing it continue. And she will continue within it, without needing permission. That is enough. She turns away from the window, walks back to the small space where her children sleep. And finally, she sits not as someone moving through time, but as someone resting inside it. The lamp burns lower. The room becomes quieter. And Chicago, outside, continues breathing slowly through the night. Not ending, not beginning, just existing.